This could be a defining weekend in the Premier League title race. 9 days ago, it seemed like a Liverpool title win was a foregone conclusion, but this weekend, Arsenal overtook the Reds at the top of the division. The Gunners beat West Ham 2-0 on Saturday afternoon. It was all pretty routine, to be honest. Goals from ex-Hammer Declan Rice and then Bukayo Saka from the penalty spot gave them the victory. It was Saka's 200th appearance for Arsenal, and he marked it with his 100th goal involvement. And afterwards, boss Mikel Arteta was glowing about the English winger.
When you look at those numbers, 200 games, 100 goal involvements, I mean, it's unbelievable at his age, what he's doing, the manner that he's doing it as well. Really impressive. That's the kind of players that we need.
It is a brilliant achievement from Saka at such a young age. And then on Sunday, Fabrizio Romano posted to say that he could be signing his new Arsenal contract quite soon. It was a weekend full of landmarks for Arsenal, as it was Mikel Arteta's 300th game as boss. He's actually only the 7th manager to achieve that milestone for Arsenal. However, it wasn't all good news for the Gunners, as Martin Ødegaard went off with a knee injury in the first half. It's the third game in a row and Martin has had to go off in the opening 45 minutes. Arsenal released a statement on Sunday saying that he sustained a medial collateral ligament injury and that he won't go on international duty for Norway. His return date is still TBC, but despite that setback, many pundits are saying that it's now Arsenal's title to lose. One of those is Jamie Redknapp, who spoke on Sky Sports.
Right now, for me, they are the favourites. The squad that they've built and the players that they've brought in gives them a real advantage.
Now, I must admit, I do think everyone's being a little bit overreactive to what is just a couple of results. I mean, as I kind of mentioned, over a week ago, people were saying that if Arsenal didn't win at Newcastle, they were out of the title race. Of course, I do understand why people have reached this conclusion. Liverpool are not looking at it. And whilst results were glossing over the poor performances at the start of the season, their 2-1 defeat at Chelsea on Saturday evening means that it's now 3 defeats in a row, and opinion about the Reds seems to be changing very quickly. Defence has been the problem for much of the season, particularly at right back where they've got injuries, but actually on Saturday, they looked pretty toothless up front too, something that Gary Neville noticed.
They've lost this game because in the last 15-20 minutes they're creative players, they're players in the final half of the pitch, the midfield players and the forwards who were absolutely useless. They were giving the ball away like you wouldn't believe.
It has to be said though, what a game this was between Chelsea and Liverpool. Stamford Bridge is not a happy place for the Reds. No win there now in 5 years. Esteval Willian scored a dramatic 95th minute winner for the Blues that sent the home crowd in southwest London into absolute raptures. Enzo Maresca wildly celebrated the goal, Jose style, running down the touchline to join his team in the celebrations, which I think totally understandable given the circumstances, but that actually meant that Enzo got a second yellow card and he was off. Something that Alan Shearer actually on Match of the Day thought was pretty harsh.
Come on, you've just scored a brilliant late goal. Your team has been superb for you under huge pressure and he gets a yellow card for showing that emotion. I don't get it. Then
in the early game on Saturday, Leeds United lost 2-1 to Tottenham Hotspur at Elland Road. Mohamed Kudus scored the winning goal, a deflected strike from outside the box that wrong-footed Carl Darlow in the Leeds goal. Kudus celebrated in his usual way. He sat on a stool off the side of the pitch. It's what he always does. However, a Leeds fan behind the goal threw a glass bottle that, I'm not joking, was inches away from hitting the Ghanaian on the head. As a result, the FA have now launched an investigation, and to be quite honest, anything other than a lifetime ban is not sufficient, really. It was terrible to see. But away from the controversy, it was a thoughtfully earned 3 points for Spurs, with Vicario making a string of saves to protect the win, making amends somewhat for his error in the first half, where a poor parry from a shot gifted Leeds their equaliser. The victory moves Spurs up to 3rd in the table. They're actually just 2 points behind Arsenal, leading to this question from host Jason Mohammed to Chris Sutton on BBC Sport.
Can Spurs challenge for the title?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
didn't even think about that.
Do you think they can really?
That's not my job.
I
asked the questions.
I think they're miles behind Arsenal, for example.
Yeah, he wasn't having any of that, Chris Sutton, that Spurs might win the league. Also on Saturday, Manchester United beat Sunderland 2-0 at Old Trafford, with Mason Mount and Benjamin Sesko scoring. Amazingly routine for Manchester United. I mean, I'm just not used to them winning games comfortably anymore. 23-year-old Belgian keeper Senny Lamens made his first starting goal for United, leading to this chant from the Stretford end. Yeah, I think Ayush Michael in disguise might be a tad much. I mean, the Belgian was all right. He made a few saves, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. I'm going to guess it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek from the United faithful. Then on Sunday, Erling Haaland scored his 9th goal of the season as Manchester City won 1-0 away at Brentford. Brilliant strength from the Norwegian, who bullied Sepp van den Berg in order to score his goal. However, City were dealt with a big blow as Rodri went off injured in the first half. The Spanish midfielder made a challenge, landed awkwardly, and instantly grabbed his hamstring. The result leaves City 3 points off the pace at the top of the Premier League. I gotta say, I feel like people are leaving Pep's team out of the title conversation a little bit too much given their pedigree. Elsewhere in the Premier League this weekend, Crystal Palace's 19-game unbeaten run came to an end at Everton as Jack Grealish scored a 93rd minute winner at the Hill Dickinson. The Eagles should have been out of sight in the first half, but the Toffees held on and scored 2 goals in the final 15 minutes, and Grealish dedicated his first Everton goal to the fans.
I scored, and then I ran to where my mum and dad were, so it was nice, but that goal goes to all the Evertonians that have made me so welcome here.
Also on Sunday, Newcastle United beat Nottingham Forest 2-0, meaning that it's now 7 games without a win for Ange Postecoglou, and no clean sheets for him either. He said that he expects to have tough talks with owner Evangelos Marinakis in the aftermath. He also had this little dig at Sky Sports' coverage during his post-match interview.
It's a struggle, it's a fight. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't worry me. That's why I love what I do. I could have been sitting on a couch watching you guys, depending who's on, probably on mute, but I prefer to be here.
Win, lose or draw, Ange is always absolute box office, isn't he? Also on Sunday, Brighton scored a late equaliser away at Wolves to leave Vitor Pereira's team still without a victory in the Premier League. Aston Villa made it 4 wins in a row in all competitions as they beat Burnley 2-1. And on Friday, Bournemouth scored 3 goals in the final 12 minutes to record a 3-1 victory against Fulham. That one was really fun in the away end in the rain. Elsewhere this weekend, Barcelona lost their first league game of the season. They were hammered 4-1 away at Sevilla. Barca just had no answers to Sevilla's swift counterattacks, and they struggled to create much with Lamine Yamal injured. Before the weekend, boss Hansi Flick confirmed that the Ballon d'Or runner-up's injury is complicated, and he doesn't actually know if he's going to be back for El Clasico on October the 26th. And speaking of their great rivals, Real Madrid were able to take full advantage of Barca's loss, moving back to the top of La Liga after they beat Villarreal 3-1 at the Bernabeu. Kylian Mbappé scored Real's third, making it 14 goals in 10 games. That's now 9 consecutive games where the Frenchman has scored. In Italy, Juventus and AC Milan drew 0-0 in Serie A. Christian Pulisic, he's been on amazing form lately, but he blazed a second half penalty well over the bar. Napoli and AS Roma are tied at the top of the division after they both won 2-1 on Sunday against Genoa and Fiorentina respectively. Over in the USA, and Philadelphia Union clinched MLS's Supporters' Shield with a game to spare after they beat New York City 1-0. It's the Union's second Shield in club history. They're 7 points above Inter Miami, who thrashed New England 4-1 as Lionel Messi bagged a hat-trick of assists. In the Championship, what is going on at Coventry City? The Sky Blues are scoring so many goals, 27 in their first 9 games. They now sit top of the division. On Saturday, they beat Sheffield Wednesday 5-0. And also, after Crystal Palace's defeat, Coventry are now the only side in the top 4 English divisions to be unbeaten. Then on the Sunday in the Championship, it was the Old Farm derby. Ipswich Town versus Norwich City, which Ipswich won by 3-1. Remarkably, it's Ipswich's first derby win in 16 years. Over the summer, Chilean midfielder Marcelino Núñez moved from Norwich to Ipswich, the first transfer between the two sides in nearly 30 years. And here is Núñez celebrating with his new fans by dancing around the corner. Honestly, this shithousery here of Marcelino to celebrate like that against his former club is something else. If he wasn't already hated in Norwich, he definitely is now. Speaking of derbies, it was the Edinburgh derby on Saturday between Hearts and Hibs, and it was a dramatic one this, as Craig Halkett won it in the 90th minute for Hearts, much to the delirium of the jammed Hearts fans at Tynecastle. And sticking in Scotland, on Sunday evening it was announced that Rangers have sacked Russell Martin after a terrible run of results and increasing fan anger at his management. The former Southampton boss lasted just 17 games at Ibrox and only managed one league win in that time. And back on Friday, it was Wrexham versus Birmingham City in the Championship. The match billed as the Hollywood Derby because of the owners of the two clubs, which I hate as a name in all honesty, and I think so do fans of both clubs. But anyway, it's a name that's sort of stuck. Both sides are finding life in the Championship a little bit harder than expected after promotion from League One, especially given the money that they've both spent. The match between the two finished 1-1, and Birmingham chairman Tom Wagner was in the away end supporting his team with the fans, which is awesome. But then at half-time, when the Blues were losing 1-0, Tom decided to give a half-time pep talk to the fans around him, which was a little bit cringe.
The energy on the pitch isn't great.
Yeah.
Okay? But they're going to feed off of us. And we haven't been great either. Fair?
Yeah.
We need to be louder in the second half. Yes. Okay? We need to sing more in the second half.
I mean, yeah, reactions to this online have mostly been negative, although there are a few online who seem to rate it. And in fairness, considering the state of some owners in England, it could be a lot worse.